Time for In the Know with high-profile real estate executive Tom Diller. This show covers everything about today's market, from real estate, lending, investing news, market news, and more. The greatest thing is, hear from real estate market insiders and the market's movers and shakers. Be in the know with Tom Diller. Without further ado, here is the host of our show, Mr. Tom Diller.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Tom Diller. You're listening to KQCK Live in beautiful Santan Valley. We've got a couple of wonderful guests here. I've already had a couple of phone calls asking who the hottie is, and I said, Joe, you said Tom Diller, right?
I did.
Were they asking for me or for Kevin?
I'm pretty sure it was for Kevin.
He looks happy and happier every time he comes on board, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
He does. But actually, they're probably talking about Tracy Royce. We're going to introduce her in just 1 second here. Tracy, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tom.
Yeah, Royce of Real Estate. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? I love that. That's
thank
pretty
you.
Cool. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, so it's a long drive, so we do appreciate you coming all the way out here. And my mic may not be loud enough here. I'm not sure I can hear it.
You can hear it.
There you go.
Is that good?
Yeah. And we have Kevin Harden of Arboleta Breckner. Kevin, you're a return guest. We just love having you here. How you doing?
Good. Someday I'll own the station at this point.
You will. Your stock value is rising.
Excellent.
You know, every time we have you here, we get more calls and more calls. So, and Tracy, you're going to be talking about all sorts of things, including investments. You're going to be talking about short sales. Should you sell now? Should you stay? What should you do now at this point? So we're going to get into that.
Cool.
Before we start going here, let me throw out the phone number so you can call. And this is a live show, so feel free to call in and ask either Tracy, myself, or Kevin some questions. 480-745-1033. You can also chat. There's a chat feature online. And Joe's got the phones
I just hit that
on.
with the pinky there. Yeah, sorry.
There you go. We're also going to be giving away a bunch of just really cool stuff today. I think Tracy has 3 or 4 Starbucks cards.
Well, I said 5 Starbucks cards.
Okay, 5.
And
good.
actually a brand new travel mug from Starbucks as well.
Awesome.
$20 value. So.
Awesome. So call in for those, but you got to ask a question, or you got to say, I love Tom Diller. Or you got to say, Kevin's looking pretty darn good.
Or Joe's looking really thin.
Joe, you're looking thin. Look at you.
Thank you. Wow, really?
Dude, you're looking. Your hair's looking good.
I wasn't fishing or anything.
Your goatee's looking good.
Oh, hey, thanks,
this is nice, fresh, clean T-shirt. It's all looking good.
Thanks, Tom.
All cleaned up for me.
Thanks for noticing,
Tom.
Tom.
Yeah. We're going to be giving those away, and we're going to be giving away unlimited consultations today. And what that is actually you can sit in front of an attorney. And talk about things that you don't like about your property. Maybe you're upside down, you can't afford to make the payments, maybe you think you might have to file bankruptcy. What should you do? And these fine folks from Arboleta Breckner will give you the options. We'll tell you what you should most likely do. Is that a way to present that?
Well, I think, Tom, our bottom line is to help people ask the questions they need to make informed decisions.
There you go. And that's why we like having you here. You're going to talk about some new laws, what happened after the fiscal cliff. You know, do we really not fall off? Did we fall off? What's going on? What's going on with the taxes? Is it a better time? We know a lot of people held off in the fourth quarter of last year because they thought things weren't the right time. Let's wait to see what Obama's going to do or not do. So we can talk a little bit about that. But, again, these consultations aren't cheap. So if you own a property in Arizona, whether you're a realtor, homeowner, or what have you, you need to give us a call, and we'll hook you up with those free consultations, and unlimited during this hour. In fact, we'll give away these consultations for 1 week from the show's date. Just have to call and say you saw Kevin, Tom, and Tracy on the show. We'll hand those over to you. But Tracy, we're going to talk about you first.
Great.
Let's talk about your background.
Sure.
How'd you get into real estate, and let's talk a little bit about that first.
Absolutely. So since 2003, my whole career has been around helping people that are facing foreclosure. I started off as a loan officer and was pretty young and just figured I shouldn't.
Come on, now you're like 23 years old.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, my esthetician's doing something right. But
nice.
But I just kind of figured, I shouldn't at that age be more or less a financial advisor, and just saw that what people were doing with this windfall of this money that they really had no business having, and all these mortgages that they couldn't really qualify for.
Right.
So I was attracted to the other end of that, which was working with investors, and really it just has blossomed since there, and everything that I've done since then has been surrounded around people that are facing foreclosure in the Phoenix, Arizona market, and I love it, and one of my bragging rights is a lot of agents said, and it's nothing against other agents, but the distress market has been so huge that to stay in this, they've had to get into that sort of market where I've prided myself on saying, this is what I love to do. I love helping people.
You jumped in because you wanted to, not
Absolutely.
because it was just an opportunity.
Truly.
So when you say you work with investors with the distressed market, talk to me about that. You don't go after the homeowner that's distressed, the investor. You help the investor buy these properties? Is that what you're doing?
No, I actually do work with sellers directly. But because
Gotcha.
I've done it for so long, you tend to create a following of people that know you. And so, I mean, that's one thing that I offer, and I'll get to that as well with the short sales, is because I've been doing what I do for so long, there's people that I can call up and say, hey, you know, I have a foreclosure that's coming up. Are you interested in buying this? And call a few people that are saying, yeah, I'd love to put in an offer. I've been looking in that area. I want to pick up something to rent or sell or fix up and flip and that sort of stuff. So that's one thing that I can offer that, you know, some agents may or may not be able to, which is if we list your property, I might be able to get you an offer a lot quicker than some other agents might be able to.
Now, when you say investors, are you talking about the guy who's buying 300-400 houses at a time, or the onesie-twosie mom-and-pop investor?
You know, mostly onesie-twosie. The stuff that you might be referring to, I mean, they have their network of people already set up, and that's more on a larger level.
Right.
It's more the people that I work with, even though they might have a sizable portfolio, or not to the size of the hedge funds that you might be thinking about.
Yeah, hedge funds, exactly.
Sure.
Well, good. So how's the market right now? Tell us a little bit about what's going on in the market. In fact, this morning, the Dow jumped up almost a couple hundred points because of the good housing news, I guess.
Yeah, well, as it relates to the distressed market, I mean, a lot of experts are saying that 2012 was year of the short sale.
Right.
Particularly, you're right there?
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine.
I didn't mean to cough into the mic.
Particularly of what's been happening in the last quarter of the amount of short sales that have been getting done. Banks are not selling as many REOs. They're actually trying to expedite short sales and get these through. There's stuff from Realty Track as well saying that year over year short sales in the last quarter of 2012 have jumped up over 22% as well. So the REO market's starting to go down. The real estate owned, which is the sort of inventory, the houses that the bank actually owns, otherwise known as REO, versus what short sales are doing. And to put it in perspective of, well, even between March of last year and September of last year, about $13 million of debt relief was created just in short sales. So lenders are trying to get these things done. It might seem like they're not, but the lenders' processes, they're trying, not only the last few years have they gotten more done, but they're also learning to put the processes and systems in place to take the what could have been 6 months down to maybe 60 days or even less.
Is it happening in 60 days now?
Absolutely. And in some banks,
are you seeing more of these now? In fact, before you answer that question, how many properties are still underwater in Maricopa County? Are we still talking 30, 40, 50,000 properties, 100,000 properties? I mean, I don't know what's...
Well, part of that bleeds into the delinquency rate. I mean, one great bragging right that Arizona has right now is that we are at the top of the list above all other states about what our delinquency rate is.
Top of the list of being the worst, being the best. So we have less delinquent people.
We have less people that are
delinquent. We still have just as many people underwater.
That's being burned off a lot quicker too.
Because the values are going up.
The values are going up, but we also have the non-judicial foreclosure process.
Right.
So in places and markets that don't have the appreciation and they have a judicial foreclosure process, it takes a lot longer, and it just is burning off a lot quicker here where the process is quicker.
Right. So in those other states, the values are still decreasing because it takes longer to get those properties off the market.
Those bleed into each other. I mean, each market is different, but in places like Arizona in particular that are non-judicial and seeing the appreciation, we're really seeing a very rapid decline in the delinquency rates, and also the properties that are in foreclosure that are coming into foreclosure, and also on the other end of that, short sales getting done or them going back to the bank. It just seems to be happening a lot quicker now. Right.
Kevin, what's your firm seeing? What are you seeing this year? What are you predicting? You know, I don't know if you have to hire more people this year or what? What do you see?
Well, right now, the confusion in the market over the fiscal cliff issues, the confusion in the market over the Mortgage Debt Relief Act expiring, and the misguided belief by many people that somehow the expiration of the Mortgage Debt Relief Act suddenly was a negative for them.
By the way, I love your radio voice. Everybody who doesn't know Kevin, when he comes in, he's kind of squeaky a little bit, but when he's on the radio, it's awesome. Just like Joe, same thing. We call Joe Helium Joe when he's on the radio.
Oh, thanks a lot, Tom.
Tracy, whatever ego you have, check it at the door.
Yeah.
Check it at the door.
I watched a couple of your shows.
At this time of day, I get kind of ornery. It's all the snack food he has over there. Just my sugar level goes up. And
Where are my nachos?
Where's my nachos?
So, there were many confused people, and it's been our opinion, and what we're seeing coming in for consultations today is telling us that I don't know that the indicators we're looking at are actually trend lines. I think they're artificially created by this paralysis that consumers have that, oh my gosh, you mean if I let my home go in 2013, which is where we are today, I might actually owe taxes, which has artificially forced some people to stay current, that they've not looked at other options. Yes, we've seen an appreciation rate, but I'm still seeing today homeowners come in that owe $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 on a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 home. So that higher end tier folks kind of got left out in la la land. They're current. They're going to make a conscious decision on whether they're going to exit the home.
Right. Looks like we've got a couple phone calls.
We've got some chatters up there. Our first question, let's see. Oh, give Kevin his own show. Nice. There's a comment for you.
There you go.
Takeover.
Let's see. I always hear people have issues with the second mortgage. What's the deal with those?
Yeah, it really depends. And thank you so much for chatting. I'm going to let Kevin answer this, but I can tell you right off the bat, it depends whether it's a credit union or a traditional bank or whether it was an 80-20 or not. What's your take on that, Kevin?
The issues are so many layered. A, I owe more than my home is worth.
Mm-hmm.
B, how was that loan taken out? When was it taken out? What were the monies used for? You got to do an analysis on its deficiency risk before we can even talk about what you might do with it.
Right.
And if you do, is there not a tax consequence of doing that?
Right.
You just got to work through the waterfall.
Right.
But yeah, as far as we get into short sales, let's say a consumer leaves the office and say, you know what, short sale looks like it's the best option for you, and they work with Tracy and they go out there and list their home, and let's say it's, I hate to call it out by name, but if it is what it is. But let's say it's Desert Schools Credit Union. It's not going to be the most cooperative process as you might have with B of A. So we have to understand those entities are nonprofit entities, and they don't have the bailout and everything else.
Right.
But that's okay. What's the other option? Keep paying, keep renting your own home from yourself. So I think people are sometimes paralyzed by the wrong issues.
Right. I'm going to throw out the phone number one more time, but we appreciate all the chatters. The number to call in is 480-745-1033. Don't forget, we have an unlimited amount of free consults, which run at a couple $100 a piece. Have a bunch of Starbucks cards and a Starbucks mug, which
Kevin,
is kind of cool.
Do you have a card so I can type out your firm's name and stuff? I get some people asking questions about that.
Arbolita Breckner.
And
Go ahead, jump in.
One thing I wanted to
spell it
mention
out.
too is with the Starbucks giveaway cards, if they could go to my Facebook page and
Okay,
like it,
sure.
I'd appreciate that.
Why don't you throw out your contact information before I forget?
Sure. The best way that people can contact me is at 602-741-1602. That's 602-741-1602. I'm pretty easy to find online. If you just Google Royce of Real Estate, but particularly you can find me at my website, which is just Royce, spelled like Rolls Royce, Royce of Real Estate.com. You can find me the same on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that other fun stuff.
I like that Rolls Royce. Your tagline should be an exquisite experience.
Yeah, I've been.
I'm going to trademark that. Is that so? If you ever use that, you owe me a royalty, like $1 or something.
Are you
At least I'm a
royalty on
witness.
my Rolls Royce?
Yeah, I got witnesses here. But so good. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. Before we got bothered by Joe over there. For something
No.
else.
I think, folks, we have to get to the specific question.
Right.
Is a second going to affect my short sale? Would a second affect me if I let my home go to foreclosure?
Right.
People talk about jingle mail. There's no real such thing as jingle mail. Very few people have done it, and if you have, it's sad. But, if you're going to let the home go to foreclosure, ride the thing into the sunset.
Right.
I mean, people can spend a year in a home without making payments, and it makes more sense than just leaving this home abandoned.
It's a business plan, right?
Right.
It's a plan your exit strategy. I talked to somebody the other night, and if she's watching, wink, wink. But I mentioned to her that I had a friend that had a house across the street from me. He got transferred to Houston. He basically was upside down by about $250,000. He just said, hey, I'm going to stop making payments and move. I said, well, what are you going to do for the year and a half? Because your bank is, I'm not going to say which one, ABC Bank. I mean, you can, but I won't. ABC Bank. I said, no. I'm going to hook you up with a property manager. You're going to rent the house. You're going to tell him you're in foreclosure, and we'll do a 6-month, then a month. He ended up making a lot of money, close to $30,000 before that property went away. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made a nickel.
Well, it just seems a shame to have.
Oh, and this
these
person
shells.
thought it was against the law, but it's not against the law.
Yeah,
Right.
There's a lot of misinformation out there.
Right.
The idea that you can't buy a home before you disposition your current home.
Right.
The slang term we use is
Sure.
buy and bail.
Strategic default.
Strategic default in
right.
itself is frankly just electing those options you had when you started.
Right.
So there's a lot of misinformation out there, and people are paralyzed by it. So again, as we talk about the statistics and talk about delinquency rates, et cetera, as usual, the government does something that intrudes into the natural action of the market and it delays things.
Right.
So now we're going to fall over the cliff again. And given how busy we've been with consults, tells me we're going to fall over the wall again.
So they haven't slowed down, the consults.
I would tell you in November, December, absolutely.
Sure.
It was a
Christmas
ghost town.
time, nobody wants to.
Once we hit
Right,
February,
right.
they're
Boom.
all ready to go
Boom.
again.
Right.
But we're going to get that same misguided advertising again. Hey, it only got extended. The Mortgage Debt Relief Act only got extended to January 2014 or December 31st.
There's the radio voice.
Right. You can tell, right?
Yeah.
It wanes in and out, just like a southern drawl or something, you know?
I like it. I like it. It's
I do
working,
like
yeah.
it. It's kind of hot. You know, it's making the hair on the
Very
back of my
hot.
neck stand up. It is kind of hot. Kevin,
The
you're
love
yeah,
doctor.
the
There
love
you go.
doctor.
There you
Yeah.
go.
We've got a couple more phone calls.
Perry Thomas from Carefree says, any news on some of the new takeover payment, no money down loans like in the 80s that you had mentioned a few weeks ago on the show?
You know, I don't know if we had talked about no money down,
I
but
remember
there
that
are
myself.
loans that are coming out or have come out that are basically the day after an event, like a short sale foreclosure. There are several of those that are out there. In fact, I'll tout the company that was here, and that was People's Mortgage. They're doing one. I think it's 25 or 30% down. So those are coming back. Whether we're going to go back to the days where it's no down, I don't know. Now, with that said, there are no down loans. Some of those never went away. Those are A-quality USDA choice, prime stake quality. That's whenever I say that, I think about stakes. But those loans are still around. Those are based on certain zip codes that are rural, no money down, and they're government backed. So those are
Think
there.
about VA.
If there's VA,
Zero
so there's a
down.
lot of great types of loan programs that are out there. You just have to really search and find a specialist that can do those for you. But regarding, if you're talking about more of the subprime, zero down, or the 80-20s, I think we're a long ways off for those still. Let's get back to your investors. You talked about that. What are you looking for? So if there's people out there that has an extra $15,000, $20,000 in the bank, is that what you're looking for? Somebody you can pool money to buy, or are you looking for one guy to buy a property and move on to the next property?
Well, I mean, it really depends. That's something that I've started adding into what it is that I do. I mean, really, the crux of what it is that I offer in the marketplace is I'm a resource for people that are distressed sellers. I mean, I happen to have a license as well, but like I said, because I've been doing foreclosures for so long, if someone comes to me and they say, hey, I'm upside down, I need help, perhaps a short sale is an option for them. A short sale is just a tool in the toolbox of people that are in foreclosure, perhaps not even in foreclosure yet, but it doesn't mean that they don't have other options. So to get back to what you were asking, I mean, if people are looking to buy investment property, or if they're like, hey, I have some extra money sitting around, it's earning, 0.001%.
Exactly. We had an economist here talking about what do you do with your money. He says, buy houses now, buy houses.
Precisely. Yeah. So, I mean, with there being distressed sellers and with there being stuff on the marketplace, some of these, the buyers are like, hey, if I can't take out another mortgage in my name because I already have 10 mortgages, I'd love to partner up on someone with this investment property. So if you have extra money lying around and want to invest with a partnership in one of these houses, if I'm like, hey, I have this house, this buyer wants to buy it, he only has so much cash or he only has so much credit, would you want to participate in this as well? Of course, everything is done, through an attorney and title company and that sort of stuff. But if that was your specific question, then yes, that is something that we do as well.
Right. Speaking of title company, Equity Title is the best out there in the whole wide world.
That was just a lead-in, wasn't it?
It was absolutely. I'll give you your $20 later.
Yeah.
But any comments on that? Are you seeing people that were investors that bought houses are losing them now, or I hate
No. The
it's
closest
not-
we've
it's not
gotten
that.
is we have clients that are hard money lenders
Gotcha.
to those that were buying the foreclosures.
Right.
And when this bubble hit a little bit within the last year, some of them bought homes a little overbid and were a little overzealous in their valuation, and they're
Sure.
stuck with them right now.
Sure.
But that's about the closest I'd see to an investor issue.
Right. We're starting to get more phone calls here.
We got a question for Kevin from Maureen in Phoenix. Do you do any family law? Need an attorney for divorce? And a lot of real estate included in this.
Yeah, our firm does do family law. She needs to call Carol Carlson at the firm. Can I give them the phone number?
Please, yeah.
602-953-2400. Ask for Kara or Carlos. But yes, we do, and we would love to help you out.
Actually, and on that same topic, that brings up the people that are in the price point, no matter what they owe, if their house is actually worth, let's just say under the $200,000 mark, those sort of people, one thing that if any of the listeners here that own a home and might be facing foreclosure need to understand is that is what people are pining for at this moment. I mean, we have less than 4 months of inventory, and if you put your house up on the market or you advertise it for sale, whether it's a short sale, whether you're underwater and need to do a short sale facing foreclosure, or just a normal traditional sale, I mean, that is the most valued inventory right now, because investors are buying it for the cash flow. First-time home buyers are trying to get qualified to buy that sort of property because they can afford it. But I mean, that's the nice little sweet spot between $100,000 and $150,000, and of course under that.
Multiple bids. How many bids are we seeing now?
I put it in an offer on a property on a fourplex right near where I live. It was priced at $112,000, and it had 30 offers.
Wow.
But
so, I mean, certainly we can easily say it's a seller's market.
Absolutely.
It's the time to, if you have to get out of your property, it may not be a short sale.
Right.
You may actually have a couple bucks of equity, and it could be the time to sell. Now, do you recommend them starting with an attorney like a Kevin or another law firm, or we'll say Arboleda Breckner, but do you start that way too?
Typically what I tell people is if they're like, hey, I'm facing foreclosure, I'm behind on my payments, what's the absolute first step that I should do? Well, have you contacted your lender? Have you talked to your bank, your lien holders, whoever's in place? And if the answer is no, then I really encourage them, just call your lender. It's like breaking up with your ex, like, oh God, I don't want to do this, but you have to just make the call. And if you can't get a loan mod done, or if it just, you don't want to, or you don't qualify, whatever the case, you need to go speak to an attorney. I tell people this, and I disclose to the hills, but the thing about it is if I'm the person in front of them, they're relying on my information or their other friend that's an agent, their information. I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a CPA. So I tell them, go see an attorney, and someone like Kevin to really sit down and go through not only their loans, the house, their personal situation, their financial situation.
It could be a bankruptcy. It could be sit and do nothing and just don't make any payments or whatever.
Sure.
In fact, the NARA, the National Association of Realtors, they have disclosures that the realtors have to have the homeowner sign saying that they're seeking the help.
Yeah, and I mean, they can sign off and say, yeah, I've been told to do that.
And do nothing.
But I mean, arguably, and Kevin and I had talked about this, down the road, if they sign off on that and something bad happens, they could say, well, this person told me to do this thing. You were told to seek counsel, but they still need to. They absolutely, and especially when Kevin's extending the free consultations, there's absolutely no reason not to. You need to have your situation looked at quantitatively, but also qualitatively by a qualified professional, not just someone like myself that holds a license. I have a license that has a certain scope of practice. Kevin has another complementing one.
He's got a wonderful mortgage background too. Let me throw out the phone number one more time. 480-745-1033. I see we have a ton of chatters. Another call coming?
No, but tell me a little bit about how we're doing these giveaways, just so I know.
Sure. You just have to call in. Arizona property. Actually, for the Starbucks cards and all that, you can be wherever. Just tell her you're going to buy a house in Arizona one of these days or whatever. But we'd prefer Arizona properties. We know we have listeners from all over the country here.
People coming in to pick them up at the studio?
No, I can mail them to them.
We're going to mail them. So just leave your, call in, the phone number I just gave out, and give Joe your name and phone number, and we'll get these out to you.
Please like my Facebook page.
Yeah, and please like our Facebook page.
Excellent.
And shout out to everybody who's flirted with me in the last couple of weeks. That's an inside joke.
I have a Facebook page too. Can we talk about my
Kevin
Facebook
Hardball with Harden or something like that?
No, it's hard. It's hard answers from Harden.
That's what it is. I knew it was something like that.
See, we're both using our last names. I like it.
Well, I couldn't be. I always thought about. This whole idea of Royce of real estate and everything. And if my last name was Rolls, it would be close. It could be Rolls of real estate. Yeah, but we could get together.
Absolutely. But we talked about
that. That's how we roll.
That's how we roll.
That's how we roll.
That's right. That's right.
Otherwise, my parents gave me the wrong last name for that conversation.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Well, we've got about 7 minutes here before we take a break. Let's see if we can give away a couple of these consultations or a Starbucks card. So please call in or chat. So those of you chatting, even if you're a realtor, Tracy is a realtor, but if you're a realtor and you want some of these consultations, call in and give them some to your clients. Again, this is the best way to start a transaction. And just make sure it's the right option. So if a couple years go by and they don't say my realtor told me to do a short sale, they say my attorney told me to do the short sale. And now the phones are ringing, which is great. Back to you, Tracy. I see you have a bunch of notes. In the next 3 or 4 minutes, what's the one or two things you want to talk about before we go to break?
So a lot of people Arizona has a lot of national exposure right now in terms of what's going up and what's going on. And I have to say, I completely agree with Kevin. Whatever I believe versus what's being advertised might be two completely different things. But I mean, we're getting a lot of appreciation. And one thing that I want to bring back into consideration is a normal market, no matter if it's a seller's or buyer's market, there's always between 4,000 and 6,000 people that have a notice of trustee sale that's been posted.
Right,
and
right.
what that means to the listeners that don't know what that is that's the bank's way of putting on public notice that your foreclosure has started. No matter how many payments you've missed, that's the official notice that, hey, if you do nothing in 90 days, that your home was actually going to go up to auction. Either we're going to take it back or someone else is going to buy it. So even as the market starts to appreciate or whatever it is that it's doing,
It's still going to happen.
it's still going to happen.
Right.
And there's always people that actually need help. And again,
Right.
a short sale is really just one tool in the toolbox. There's many other options. I think sometimes people think like, well, I'm in foreclosure. What do I do? Hang up half a harp.
Sure.
Stop harping on me about my foreclosure. You know what?
Right.
A short sale. What
Right.
do I do? And the thing is if you've had your notice of foreclosure posted, the notice of trustee sale to the foreclosure posted, you have options, but you really need to take action. Just pick up the phone. I know it's hard.
Yeah, there's no shame in it.
There's no shame.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. We've talked to people before. They've never spoken to their bank. They've pretty much buried their heads in the sand. That's the last thing you want to do.
Right.
I mean, you've invested a lot of money for your home, whether you have a family or not in that house. You don't just want to do nothing. Just swallow your pride, pick up the phone, call a Tracy Royce or a Kevin Harden, and get the process going. You're not alone. In fact, when the news wanes down, it's going to be harder for people to make that phone call, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't be that hard.
And that's another thing too, is that I wanted to mention is even a few short years ago, 70% of everything that was selling every month was distressed, either a
Right,
bank-owned
right.
property or a short sale. And I mean, it's under 35% of what's happening. So I think to the excitement of much real estate agents, they're like, woohoo, I don't have to think about these stupid short sales anymore. But you really, that's why I brought up the case of, at any given time, these people still need help, even though it keeps going down in the amount of transactions that are going through the multiple listing
Right,
service
right.
as the amount of sales that are closing. By all means, don't turn these people away. They still need
Right.
help. If you don't specialize in short sales or you don't quite know how to help people in pre-foreclosure and face those challenges, don't turn them down. They still have options. Just reach out to, hopefully like a resource like myself or Kevin.
Right.
I got a question for
Yeah.
Tracy real quick.
Yeah.
Now, Tracy, something we're saying that is of note for us or to take notice of is the high percentage of those sales that have now become equity sales are still all cash sales.
Yeah.
And for us, we're concerned that that's not an active market. It's not a true active market. It's not a true active market in the sense that great for the real estate community, great for income, great for sales. But in that idea of a truly healthy market where people are buying homes and moving into homes today, we have a lot of external money coming
yeah.
in. And that's great for the external money. It's great for those that, gee, I got to sell. Short sale's an option, but now my home's appreciated. And we're seeing these sales going from investor to investor,
Yeah.
that first level to that second gen investor. That's kind of been our note. Thoughts that you have about how that's playing out?
Yeah, I mean, in a normal market, it's typically you'll see 10% people paying cash for it. I mean, whereas now it's been still lingering around 40%. I mean, so we're at 3 times what's normal in terms of people just dumping their cash into the Phoenix market. I don't know if I see that waning anytime soon. I mean, there's been a lot of news on the above ground and in the media and also below ground in the investor world that I kind of toggle around with too, with these hedge funds coming in and buying a large amount of properties. It's hard to decipher what their exit strategy is. But
here's an idea. If that's what they're going to do, then they've got to be thinking someone down the road is going to need a rental.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not buying to live in.
Oh, right.
Oh,
right.
good point. Let's talk about the rental market when we come back from break. We've had a couple phone calls, Joe.
How many Starbucks are we giving away? Because we've given away 2 so far.
5 in total.
5.
And then one coffee mug.
One coffee mug.
How do we decide who gets the coffee mug?
I tell you what, if somebody
You can
calls
make all
in,
those decisions.
Yep,
How about
if
that?
somebody calls in,
That sounded like I don't care.
Yeah, he doesn't actually, he wants one himself. But if somebody
Yeah.
calls in and asks an on-air question, they'll get the coffee mug and a free console.
There you. That's a
There
great
you go.
idea.
Sounds great.
So let's
great.
let's throw
Decision
out some
maker.
contact information one more time. Kevin, how do they get the process started for you? For your
You know,
firm?
I would really like the listeners because it's really the best relationship when you call in. We're going to let Tracy call you, kind of get that initial
There you go.
information. Because at the end, I will tell you, bottom line, when we go through this waterfall, 9 out of 10 folks really are best suited for a short sale
Sure.
if they're underwater and they want to exit. But we'll get you through the answer. So I think it's best when we call in, Tracy will do the follow-up, and then what she'll do is book that through me, and we'll make sure we control those consults and make sure
Excellent.
there's no cost to the listeners. And I think that's a better marriage, because otherwise, don't get me wrong, but if they come back through me, I have no idea, and sometimes even they forget how they got there.
Right.
Yeah.
So good point. Tracy, what's your contact information again?
602-741-1602. But I've also made it super easy. If you go to my website, royceofrealestate.com, you'll see 3 big icons right smack in the middle of the page. It says distressed sellers, schedule an attorney consult or something of that nature. So all you do is fill in your information, and I'll call you within 24 hours. It's super easy, and then you can hook up with Kevin. And did I just hear we're married now, or where's
No, if I change my name,
Wait, you two got married? What's
we
the
can
deal?
play a song for that.
she's working on this little strategic business
She
association.
just kind of hit on you a
You
little
know,
bit. She's like, I don't know.
I'm recently engaged, so I heard the word marriage.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh. So she's engaged.
Whatever. It's like sitting in the back of her head.
Yeah.
I don't even remember being that young.
Yeah. Well, everybody, you've been listening to In the Know with Tom Diller on KQCK Live in beautiful Santan Valley. We're going to take about a 90-second break, and we'll be right back at you. See you soon.
Are you ready to start taking control of your future and maximize your earning potential? Central Arizona College has smaller class sizes and personalized attention to help you compete in today's tough job market. CAC now serves Santan Valley and Queen Creek. The CAC Santan Center is located in the shops at Copper Basin on Hunt Highway, behind Barrow's Pizza. Stop in and see how taking classes at CAC costs a fraction of a state university, and your credits can transfer. So, if you want to earn real money, you need to learn real skills at Central Arizona College. Enroll in classes today by calling 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu or call 480-677-7825 or visit www.centralaz.edu. Central Arizona College, your way. Are you having plumbing or septic problems? No worries. Call Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Been in the valley since 1996. Family owned and operated. Proudly serving East Valley and surrounding areas. With a full range of services from drain cleaning, septic tank pumping, general maintenance and repairs, inspections for the sale of your home. They provide excellent and courteous service for all your plumbing and septic needs. We're not satisfied till you are satisfied. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call today. Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Contact Denise at 480-987-8051. That's 480-987-8051.
Welcome back to KQCK Live. You're listening to In the Know with Tom Diller. We have two wonderful guests. Tracy Royce Real Estate. She's waving right now, showing off that beautiful ring of hers.
Other hand, there we go.
Recently engaged. I actually met her and her fiance at the 16th hole at the Open a few weeks back. Kevin, I had you there, and
it's a great way to meet.
It was
Here we are again.
We like stared at each other for a second. I know you, and she's like, I know you, and Tracy happens to be one of those phenomenal social media goddesses or gurus. She does a wonderful job with that, and we recognize each other from the amount of marketing we do, which I thought was kind of cool. Kevin, I brought him along because he was hungry and he needed a place to go on a Saturday. I took him.
Perfect.
Someone said golf was going on.
So was it golf, whatever.
I don't recall.
I don't remember
any
golf.
whatsoever.
I don't know why they make a big deal of the 16th hole besides the food and the bar.
Yeah, the caddy races were good.
The caddy races were pretty. We were betting on
Sorry, I
every.
missed
Can we
it.
say we were betting? Yeah, we were allegedly betting on every single
Allegedly
hole.
betting.
The caddies raced to the hole. It was pretty cool. They like fake each other out, and sometimes they'll drop the bags and run and dive on the green. And we're betting like a buck
Sounds
each
like
time.
the best time out of the
That
whole
sounds
event.
like
Oh
a lot
my
of fun,
gosh,
yeah.
it was a lot of fun. But that was, Nova brought us over there, the Creed team. Thank you, Dave and Lisa, if you're listening, and Angela Monty, a.k.a. Snooki. She was there also.
Snooki. There's a new one.
Love you, Angela.
Hopefully she's okay with that.
She just got back from Jersey, and her hair is puffier, and her tan is tanner, and she just was looking a bit Snooki-ish.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she
So
was.
that's a good thing then.
It's absolutely. Earlier, Kevin, we kind of talked about taxes, and we kind of went a different direction. We can go 1,000 different ways on this, but I kind of want you to talk a little bit more about the tax and the debt relief and all that kind of groovy stuff that people should.
What I want the listeners to be left with is an understanding that when we say that the Mortgage Debt Relief Act applies to very few Arizona homeowners is not a negative. It's actually a positive. See, the IRS does not tax the cancellation of debt of non-recourse debt. And many Arizona homeowners have mortgages that are non-recourse. That is, if that home went to foreclosure, the lender could not pursue them for a deficiency. And they don't understand that that means that there is no cancellation of debt liability. Sure, you'll get the 1099, but you will not owe the IRS whether the Mortgage Debt Relief Act got extended or not. See, we're a minority of 7 total states now that have some level of deficiency protection. So as a minority of states, it's the least information people talk about. As a nationwide problem, it's a major problem with the expiration of the Mortgage Debt Relief Act across the country. And as we all search Google, we don't really stay too local, so we see all this information. It scares us. So if you're sitting today trapped in your home and you owe a significant amount more than it's worth, and you're really, what should I do? That shouldn't be one of your impediments. It shouldn't be taxed. We can help you understand it when you come in.
And how can they find out? Can they look at their mortgage note and find out, or they just...
No, I'm going to tell you it's a little more complicated than that, and really it won't take that long. But in that waterfall analysis is to determine, is that mortgage a recourse debt or not? Help them understand that. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the idea of FUD. We always talked about that's what paralyzes everybody from a decision. So we can get rid of that fear and the uncertainty and doubt about what they're trying to do.
Did you just make up that acronym?
No, it's actually
it's real?
Is
it real?
It's called FUD.
FUD.
It's a paralyzing piece of people making good business decisions, and they don't get enough information. And by getting that call into Tracy, getting that baseline information, if I did sell, what would my home sell for, et cetera, get the homework out of the way, all of a sudden they can wake up tomorrow and go, fine, short sale sounds like the best, fine. I don't have to worry about it, go on with the rest of my life and let the system work.
So what if they took out a second mortgage and bought a boat and went to the Caribbean or whatever? Before you answer that, let me throw out the phone number again. I see a ton of people chatting.
I got people wanting to know if they can win dates with Tracy.
Oh.
I told them they have to ask 2 questions on the air for that.
Are you okay with that?
Do I have a choice?
She doesn't. The phone number to call on,
Maybe 480.
we should take
a picture of the rig.
There you go. 745-1033. Again, 480-745-1033. Call in. You get a free consultation and a free coffee mug and the illusion or fantasy of going out with Tracy. I don't know.
Hey, come on. Nobody out there interested in a middle-aged, overweight man? No, Joe?
Hey, let's go ahead. Yeah, I'm all right. But
yeah, Joe.
So
my wife's looking to get me out of the house.
There you go. So what if somebody took out a second mortgage, when the equity values went up to here, and they took out $100,000
It's an easy answer. If you took a second out of your home, treating the home like a checkbook, to do something else with that money, I don't care if you bought a boat, went gambling in Vegas, whatever.
Use it.
Odds are that's a full recourse debt.
Okay, so short sale is not the way for them to go?
Oh, absolutely. See, short sale becomes a really great tool to mitigate that damage. Now we have to do the next waterfall. Is there a tax liability that even the Mortgage Debt Relief Act wouldn't have solved anyway?
Sure.
And if we can, how do we do it? Could it be through insolvency? That is their negative balance sheet. Et cetera, et cetera. There could be other ways to mitigate that tax liability. But at the end of the day, let's even say they might owe a tax. When they do the math, they may find out that the tax that they might owe is trivial as compared to staying in that home and continuing to rent it for the next 5 to 10 years.
Let's talk about insolvency. I don't know if you're the expert on that. You're an expert on multiple things, so I'm sure you are. But let's say they took out $100,000 second. They're upside down by $300,000. At that point, when they own that upside down piece of property, they're never going to be more insolvent than that day they own that property. So in most cases, does that wash out the potential tax liability?
Well, let's be clear.
Again, that's a generic question. I know there's other factors
involved. No, it's a great
involved.
question, because what you're talking about is how the IRS determines insolvency.
I'm throwing out there for our listeners,
Yeah, and understand, if your first mortgage is non-recourse, IRS doesn't count the amount you're underwater towards insolvency because it's non-recourse debt. So they're only going to look at, say, that subordinate debt position. And if that's underwater and it is recourse, fine, but we got to look at all your other assets. That little snapshot, that micro snapshot at the moment this event occurs is where they're going to do the math. And, there are many people that'll meet the insolvency test, but there are many others that are shocked to find out they don't. especially with their 401ks.
Even when they're upside
IRAs.
Oh, gotcha. You got to add all that stuff up, right?
Absolutely. Cars, equity,
Sure.
and other chattel that's going to contribute to that value.
Who are you seeing in your firm now? What's the typical snapshot of a customer? Is it still across the board? Are you seeing now more of the upper scale, like Tracy mentioned a minute ago?
We're not seeing today your Joe and Susie lunch bucket who is facing a problem of affording a home because one or the other lost a job or took their pay cuts, etc. That kind of went through 08, 09, and 2010. Where we are today, more often than not, is I get a client in the door who can afford their home. They're underwater in the home to a degree that not even a HARP would help. Just a loan mod's not in the question because really they need to think about exiting. It could be paralyzing a job selection. It could be doing a lot of things. And they're considering, do I stop making my payments or not? Do I do a short sale? If I do, what's going to be the credit impact? And what do I need to do before I do it? And shockingly, we do have a lot of people that are very well heeled, but they use the credit cards and other types of credit sources to really prop themselves up during the collapse. Now they're back on their feet again, but realizing that mountain they can't climb, that they make 60, 70, 80, 100,000 a year, but now they owe 60, 70,000 in credit card debt, and they have $60,000, $70,000 worth of unsecured second mortgage on their home. Suddenly they owe more than their annual income. They're not going to dig out. So there's other tools we can use. A lot of people don't know that, we can utilize bankruptcy to solve some of these other issues and still do a short sale.
Does the BK wipe out a second mortgage?
Well, it wipes out your personal obligation, but the lien will still exist.
So
okay?
if you're upside down and there's no, it's a second mortgage, but you're upside down and there's really no value in that property, doesn't that kind of become a personal?
Well, then we get into a strategy that we do today to strip that lien. And some folks might be able, let's say they're only underwater slightly to the first, but fully to the second. A lien strip becomes an opportunity to save the home. And that might be a reason why bankruptcy might be better than a short sale. Okay. But we got to go through the waterfall.
Right. So you kind of choreograph what they do. Maybe it's a BK first, then it's a short sale later, or
Yep, absolutely.
Gotcha.
And we're really a proponent of that. The idea of just file bankruptcy, just let the home go to foreclosure. That's great, okay. But what people taught me, human beings taught me in the last 5 years, and as you know, I probably do 15, 20 consults a week and have been doing it for 20 years. And I woke up one day and realized thousands of people have been through the door, and what they taught me, put aside the credit concern, put aside everything else. Human beings go out of their mind when they're facing foreclosure.
Yeah.
I'm going to let my home go. I can't tell you how, I hate to say it, guys, it's very sad, how many suicides that I've had clients do, divorces, even though it may be an okay option, they're not going to owe anything, it's so disruptive to families. There are better options, and I think short sale is a great landing pad.
Yeah.
Suicides?
Again, control
Absolutely.
your
It's been heartbreaking for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Control your exit strategy.
It's just a home, but you know what? It's
is.
more than that. I'm talking about a house, sticks and bricks. What they really want to talk about is the home, the pink bedroom for the daughter, the blue room for the son, the kids were born there, et cetera, et cetera. And you have to be cognizant of that, is that for them, it's a real loss for them.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing, too, I think some people have gotten away from feeling as guilty or feeling like, I don't pay my bills. Well, like 25% of the other people on your same block can't afford their mortgages either. But, exactly like Kevin's saying is I think with them facing foreclosure, I try to tell people do something as soon as possible and give yourself as many options as possible, because if you're 2 weeks away from foreclosure and you're upside down in your house and you have 2 liens or behind on HOA payments and maybe have tenants in there, I'm like, I have to unwind all this in a miraculous effort.
Is there a time when it's too late? The night before, like somebody just knocks their head on the wall and says, "What am I doing? This is stupid." And the auction date 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
The thing about it is I can get a foreclosure date pushed back like the morning of, okay, even minutes before the actual foreclosure happens. But I have to have things in place to be able to work on their behalf and to be able to do that. I can't just call up and say, hey, lender ABC, guess what? Don't foreclose. I might have a cash offer to you, or I have a
maybe.
Right. There has to be stuff in place. And especially, if you're underwater or a little underwater, even if you started to miss payments and haven't had your foreclosure notice put in place yet, give yourself as much time as possible. And if a short sale doesn't work out and the lender won't let go of a deficiency if you otherwise wouldn't have one, then a short sale might not be your best option. Fine, let it go to foreclosure.
Right.
But like he said, write it until the sunset to know that you've exhausted every single option that you can, but you have to take action and put a plan B in place.
Right.
And sometimes, and I get calls that people are like, I think I might do this. I think I might do that. I'm like, you know what? Keep my information. Just let me know what's up in a month or two. And if this doesn't work out, I can be a plan B for you. Okay, sounds great. Just don't be so afraid of all this stuff. Let me help you and gently guide you through this process. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. It's not necessarily simple, but that's why you reach out
hire
to
professionals.
That's why you hire professionals,
Right.
and we can walk you through it.
Right. In a legal perspective, when's late? When's too late?
Well, I'm going to have to echo everything she said. I can't tell you how many times that we have folks that, what do you tell them? Tough? Hey, my trustee sale's in place. It's going to happen in 1 week, 2 weeks, a month. What do we tell them? Tough. Go down the street. Your heart breaks. You know what they're facing. And it's a real shame. Sure, they waited too long. Well, waited is so long. Maybe they did have all these other issues, but we're going to try to do the best we can. But you know what the nice part is? Why not? Because the worst that happens is what was already started to begin with. So give them the answers. What would happen if the trustee sale happens? You're not going to Wile E. Coyote off this cliff. You're actually got a net down here. You may not owe anything. There's no deficiency. But why don't you consider it? And why don't we try? Because we can, and we do it all the time. You're on the phone beating up the trustee, the beneficiary, and the investor, and Fannie, etc. Boom, they knock it out. And they all wait to the last minute to push them out anyway. So if you got another 30 days, well, now all of a sudden you've got a deal versus going, well, I think it's too hard. But there are many times that no good deed goes unpunished. And I can't tell you how many times all right, let's get it in, let's see what we can do, and And all of a sudden it's like, well, someone's going to help me and everything else. I'm like, well, okay, we didn't sell you the home, didn't tell you to not make your payments, didn't tell you to, we're here to help you. And as long as we can get that in context and start, it's a great deal.
Right.
Well, and if I can add to that as well, and I people are always concerned, well, what about your commissions? If there's no equity, how do you get paid? And I've started adapting the phrase. I'm like, buy the best real estate agent that your lender can afford. Okay? I mean, if I was facing foreclosure.
Love that.
Yeah, you can pay royalties on that one. But if I was able to step out, if I needed my taxes done and I was unwinding a business and I could pick any CPA in the greater Phoenix metro area, but I had to pick someone here, who do you think that I would call? The most expensive and most qualified and most well-known, CPA that I could pick. I'd come to someone like Kevin and say, can you represent me? Guess what? Someone else's foot in the bill. You're the most expensive and well-known person. I want to use you.
Right. It makes a lot of sense, and that's very, very eloquently said. You've got a lot of notes there. What's a couple things you want to talk about? The time is like flying by here. We've got about 14 minutes to talk about some stuff, and I know you brought a ton of notes.
Sure.
And there may be some other things you want to talk about.
And a really big concern that I hear too from people that are in foreclosure, whether it's a short sale or just behind on payments, is what happens once it goes to sale, whether a trustee sale or a short sale. Can the bank come after me afterwards for the difference of what it ends up being sold for, no matter what the modality, versus what I actually owed? And that is just what it's called is deficiency. That's a fancy word for it. And like Kevin said, we're one of the 7 states in the U.S. that actually has some pretty cool and long-established anti-deficiency laws that have been in place for a long time, that have had more layers added to them with this whole foreclosure mess, and include construction loans as well too. But I mean, that's a really big concern of people, and the long and the short of it is it depends, but in most cases not. But again, that's something individual that you'd have to take a look at. But more cases than not, the bank will not be able to come after you.
Right.
One really important thing that people need to understand if they're considering a short sale versus foreclosure is anti-deficiency statutes in Arizona have absolutely nothing to do with short sales. Okay, they really only apply if you just let the house go to foreclosure. Now, if you're doing a short sale, this is when it comes especially important to work with someone like Kevin and work with someone that's a short sale expert that is able to say, hey, your approval letter, they didn't waive this deficiency. They're saying that they want to be able to come after you afterwards. And even if it's non-recourse debt, I've heard from banks when they're like, oh yeah, we have to put that in there. It's a corporate thing.
Right.
That's on all of our approvals.
Keep that thought. We actually have a caller that wants to get on air.
We've got Stacy Gramazio from Santan Valley calling in with a quick short sale question here. Hi, Stacy.
Hi.
Hey, Stacy. Thanks for the call.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi. No problem. I was just curious. If I were, I know that some of the laws have changed. If I were to do a short sale right now and I have a second mortgage, is it true that I would still be responsible for that second mortgage, or how does that work?
That's an awesome question. We've been kind of talking about that, and Kevin will tell you. And in fact, I'll throw it to Kevin.
And by the way, really quick, this would be our winner for the mug.
Absolutely.
And what
and
else?
a free consultation. So, Stacy, we're going to give you a free consultation, but Kevin can answer that question. It really depends how you took out that second mortgage. So you're gonna get the answer with a free consultation that's worth a couple $100. So make sure you give Joe your contact information, your name, and your phone number. So Kevin,
you got it.
Yeah, and then actually Tracy will call you. But that's a great question, and thank you so much for watching the show. We appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Stacy, here's the deal. It wouldn't be a successful short sale unless the lender actually agreed to waive that deficiency. In other words, express release of lien and liability in the short sale. So the first step is going to be an analysis. Did you even have a deficiency risk to start with? That is, if the home went to trustee sale, would you owe it? Not that we're telling you to go to foreclosure, but would you even have a risk to start with? And if so, or if not, we then blend that into the strategy. But you're not going to sign off. You're not forced to close on your home just because you asked.
Right.
If those approval letters don't have the express language you're looking for, you just don't close.
Yeah.
So you let it go to foreclosure is what you're saying?
Absolutely. Well, no. Let me be clear. The short sale negotiation itself doesn't end until two things happen. You get the approval you want, or in fact, the trustee sale happens, but there's never a point we're telling a client, just let it go. We don't stop until that hour before the trustee sale finally happens, even after we've kicked it down the road for a year, if that's what it takes. And back in 09 and 10, we kind of almost had to do that because the lenders weren't quite finding their way.
Right.
So to be clear, you never just let it go. It happens because you fought to the end.
This brings up a great point. Again, Stacy, thank you so much for the call. Tracy, are you seeing people that want to go to short sale? Are they current? Do you have to be late in a short sale?
No, and that's a great question to have brought up, and absolutely not. And it's become more common that you don't have to, and like I said at the beginning of the session, to where lenders just want to start to pump these things through. It's like they're getting it. They've started to have more processes and systems and timelines in place that they have to adhere to. And especially if you have the 4 Ds, a death, a disability, a divorce, or disease. If you have any of those in place and you want to do a short sale, they just want to know that you have a verifiable
That's 4
hardship.
Ds. Joe has triple Ds. Yeah.
Well, too
I'm
bad
sorry.
we don't have another D.
And where do we have those?
Smack me.
If we had another D,
Wow.
it'd be VD. Okay.
Yeah.
Took me just a minute there.
Not
Joe's
to be
like, what the
confused with.
hell?
Wow.
Wow.
I was looking all around for him. I'm like, what? Huh?
That got interesting rather quickly. But they just want to know that you have a verifiable hardship. And the fact that, like, hey, I hate my neighbors, or like, I just don't want to pay my bills, that's just really not a good enough excuse.
Is being upside down the financial hardship, though? I mean, I guess that's a question that comes up.
No,
Let's answer, yeah.
I will tell you that many times we close short sales with zero hardship.
Yep.
But it's very challenging for the real estate community to sit there with somebody and say, fine, I'll take your short sale, I'll negotiate it, knowing what they're going to face. And sometimes you have to bring a bigger hammer to the game.
The attorney.
Well, sometimes it does have its advantages because sometimes clients, frankly, are very well heeled. But the fact is, we go to the lender and says, Mr. Lender, here is a good faith offer. It's full value of the current market. The homeowner has no deficiency liability in the home, and we'd like to work with you. But if you don't, we're going to stick the home up your left nostril. And it's not to be nice. It's a smaller hole. It's much more painful. And so don't go as a beggar. Don't say, please help me. It's like, hey, Mr. Lender, here's your choice.
Right.
Lose a lot or lose a little, but we're exiting. And you just have to take a more aggressive approach sometimes. And then we waterfall. Maybe they never went late. Then now we stop making the payments when they refuse to cooperate. We take it down that waterfall. But in all times, you got to have somebody committed. I'm leaving the home. You got to be committed.
Well, and plus, too, I mean, in a worst case scenario, if the bank will say, okay, we accept this, but we also see that they have a sizable amount of resources, can they not bring $5,000 to the table? Will they not bring $1,000 bucks? Will they not bring anything to the table?
Is that legal? I mean, when they could
Sure
let it
it
go to
is.
foreclosure? Okay, so it's whatever they want. You can
Oh, yeah.
agree to
Ask
it.
for whatever you want.
No, I mean the bank. If the bank says,
Sure. The bank can ask for
drain your
money.
401k and bring $25,000 into the deal.
And hopefully with a team like her and I can tell them, look, whoa, before you do that, because the bank, see, we're the last one to tell you to talk to your bank, unfortunately, because that bank never tells people really what's good for the homeowner. It's only what's good for the
They
bank.
can certainly ask, right? But
Let the
But
bank
you can
ask.
negotiate that.
Sure,
Absolutely.
Sure. So what if there is no deficiency and they just let it go to foreclosure? The bank gets nothing. So if the bank says you've got $30,000 in the bank, we want half of that.
You negotiate.
You negotiate.
Is that still happening?
It does.
Oh, sure.
Cash
Is it?
contributions happen. They're a little more common maybe today because I'm dealing with a clientele that has no hardship.
Right.
They have full cash out. HELOCs and seconds used for other investments and other property they
Sure,
bought
sure.
that they still own, mind you. But now want to short that loss
Right.
with that short sale. So you have to be a little more aggressive. But to say that, suddenly they're going to ask, who cares? What's your choice? Are you going to stay and rent or are you going to leave?
Right. Let me throw out the phone number one more time. We have a few more minutes here to get another free consultation. We've given away a few. We've given away a bunch of Starbucks cards. But 480-745-1033. Throw out your contact information one more time before we forget.
Sure, people can reach me directly at my phone, which is 602-741-1602. The second best resource is going to be my website, which is royceofrealestate.com. And again, I'd really appreciate it if any of your listeners could like me on Facebook, and that's facebook.com/Royce of Real Estate, and you can find me on YouTube, LinkedIn, and myriad of other ways online.
You're quite an impressive person, so thank you for being here.
I've been working on my radio, the KQKC, or how do you
oh, party foul. KQCK.
KQCK.
There
Hey,
you
don't
go.
let him
There you
lecture
go.
you because he's done
I've done it before
himself.
too.
What is your
So-
Facebook again?
Yeah.
Royce of Real Estate.
Royce. Is that all one word or no?
It's broken up. 3, 4.
So look, Joe is liking you right now.
I'm just
thanks,
checking
Joe.
it out, making sure
He's
everyone
going to
can
be
there
a story.
it
There
is.
she is. Look at that beautiful
There's a
picture.
supermodel on the front.
There is a supermodel on the front
that's
there.
you.
Kevin, again, you want people to contact Tracy?
Well, yeah. I mean, in general, people have legal needs, et cetera. They can call the firm, 602-953-2400.
And again, what does your firm do? The different types of practice?
The firm handles anything from bankruptcy, debtor-creditor issues, tax litigation, tax controversy, tax advisement, short sale, loan mod, foreclosure defense, deficiency defense, and litigation. Lenders are now suing you. Put all this aside, you find yourself in the future getting sued, and as well as that, some family law that we do and trust work.
Right. And I can tell you, his firm, including Kevin, has sat on some major panels that we've done, my title company has done. Your tax person, Paul Valentine,
one
who's
of
a
the
tax
top tax
attorney, sat on a panel with Judy Lowe recently.
Steve Breckner, our senior partner, was just on one of the panels.
Sat on one of the panels. So very well-to-do firm. Doesn't mean that they're going to be out of your reach when it comes to price. They're right in there, and realtors use these guys daily. So I can totally recommend them. And again, call Tracy to, if it's going to be a real estate issue, Tracy can certainly set you up there. But
Appreciate that.
yeah, we have a few more minutes here. I'm gonna do this. We have 4 minutes. What's the last thing you want to talk about? Words of wisdom to all your friends sitting out there. The 40,000 people watching. What do you want to tell them about Tracy?
It just really the overall, the market is still, there's still a portion of the market that's still in distress. And as it goes up, or no matter what it does, there's still people that are behind on payments or facing foreclosure. And by all means, if you're a real estate agent and don't know how to help these people face their challenges, you don't have to turn that business away. I mean, I'm here as a
So you're taking
resource to help.
referrals from other realtors?
Yeah, absolutely. We
Yeah.
take referrals, and it's like they can just plug into play into our systems. And I mean, at any given time, there's thousands of people in Maricopa County that need help. So I'm here as a
Right.
resource, either for other agents or people that are behind on payments, or investors that, would like an additional resource as well. So I'm really here as a catch-all for the distressed market.
Right. Well, thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Kevin, last couple comments.
Bottom line for everybody is that if you owe more than your home is worth today, before you call your lender, before you do anything, you need to have the right information to make an informed decision. There was too much guessing going on once upon a time ago. Let's take the guesswork out of it. Give Tracy a call. She'll get you set up with a consult, and we'll see what the best avenue is for you.
Good.
I second that.
We may have one last winner here. We'll wait. I was going to do my goodbyes here, but we'll give it a couple minutes here. So, Kevin, thank you again for driving out in your little Volt. Kevin
My
drives a
electric car.
green car. Yeah, he drives up. He pulls up next to mine. He sticks his little charger, my
It is a cigarette lighter.
cigarette lighter, to charge up his
Drains
car.
your battery.
Exactly.
You know, it's great.
Exactly.
You know, I've got this massive solar array on my house too in
Oh,
Tempe,
nice.
so I'm all green. And there we go. So
Nice.
are you kind of like a liberal? Like, no,
No.
I just save money.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm a capitalist.
Absolutely. But we appreciate you coming out here. And
I
you
need
didn't
it.
get
And by the way,
lost, so.
we
Yeah.
need to start issuing car wash vouchers when we come out to the radio station.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go down the dusty road with the llama, alpaca,
But there's
and
all the
ostrich
alpacas.
and
They're so cute.
elephant.
They're sleeping outside.
Aren't
It's
they cool?
adorable.
They,
yeah.
they are. And we've got like 3 calls in just the last couple seconds here. We're going to be signing off in about a minute and a half. Nope. The wrong number. Number.
No, they're right number.
Oh, okay. So they gave away some more Starbucks cars. There you go. And
Cool.
thank you for everybody that's listening, all the chatters that are out there. You've been listening to Tom Diller on KQCK Live. We love you all. We'll be back next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Everybody have a great afternoon. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us today on In the Know with Tom Diller. We will always continue to strive to bring you the best in guests and to keep you informed on every facet of Arizona's volatile real estate market. Remember to tune in each and every week at 5 p.m. Arizona time exclusively on KQCK radio station. When it comes to real estate and more, be in the know.